Chase Purdy on the inside and Brandon Jones on the outside. The invert of the top 15 from last night, and we're green and racing at Kansas. Christian Eckes didn't wait at all to make it 3 wide. And to the front, Eckes in the 18. His teammate Brandon Jones in the 51, and that's Todd Gilliland in that blue and yellow 38. 1, 2, 3.
That blue and yellow 38 with Gilliland was really fast last night, Vince. They lost their handle along the way, but he had a lot of pace. He could be a real factor today.
Any thoughts that any of these guys had about possibly taking it a little bit easy? They threw that out the window as soon as the flag dropped. It has been a 3 wide all the way around first lap. A lot of aggression early on here.
A few drivers had to go to backup trucks. We mentioned that earlier. Sheldon Creed in the 2, Jordan Anderson, Spencer Davis, Stuart Friesen in the 45. Majeski went to the back with a transmission change, and he's got a problem already.
Contact there, Vince. He's caved in that left front. I don't know who he got into, but you
Tyler
can see
Ankrum, watch the 45 of Majeski and the 26 of Ankrum.
Wow. I mean, you had to know contact was going to happen. They were all over each other from the front to the back, and unfortunately Majeski got the short end of that stick. He'll be lucky if he doesn't lose that left front tire, Regan. I
gotta tell you, Michael, too, I'm thankful that they didn't actually clean out more trucks right there. Some good saves to not make that a bigger wreck than it was.
And Tyler Ankrum, the last thing he needs is more trouble. He had that issue last night, finished 33rd.
I mentioned when I was talking with, well, let's go to Alan with the 45. What are they saying down there? A lot of damage to that truck, Alan.
Absolutely, Michael. They're going to do left sides only. It's just such a shame after we told you about how good of a run they had yesterday. Only reason they started that far back was because of that transmission change. They're going to make a left side tire change, work on some of that damage, and try to get back out there.
Looks like they broke a jack, too. Had to go back over the wall, get another jack. So a lot of problems on this pit stop.
Well, and you mentioned, Michael, heavy damage to the 45. Tough way to get things started. Great view from out the front windshield of the 88 of Matt Crafton. Crafton with 3 straight top 5s. Got to go back to 2016, the last time he was on a roll like this.
You know what I like seeing already is look at these trucks all up against the wall this early on in the race. Last night it took about 5 to 10 laps before guys would venture up there. Today, because of the extra heat built into the racetrack, they're up there immediately.
You know what I love? The crafty veteran in that bright yellow truck, Matt Crafton, championship driver. And I mentioned during the interview with Derek Krause, he's a high school graduate. That shows you the diversity of the talent and the experience level here in the Truck Series.
And that's Brett Moffett just in front of him. Moffett started 14th. He's up into the top 5 already. These guys that had to start a little deeper in the pack because they finished at the front last night, wasting no time working through traffic. Christian Eckes leads. Zane Smith is hounding him.
Zane had a lot of pace as well last night, so it's no surprise to see Zane making the move. I like when you can stick down on the bottom, especially early in the race, Regan. That means the truck's handling well. Sometimes you go up top because there's a little bit more grip and it can be a crutch for you, but you find a guy that can go somewhere like Brett Moffett is going here to the bottom, and we saw Zane Smith do to get the lead. That tells you that truck's working well.
Yeah, and both of those trucks able to not only make the pass, but complete the pass. And that's a big part of it. You see, as Brett Moffett jumps up in front of the 38 truck of Todd Gilliland right there, that allows him to get that shove down the front straightaway. Now they're not side by side slowing each other down. He can continue on towards the front of the pack to try and find the next truck ahead.
What about right up ahead of Moffett? There's Brennan Bull running 3rd place in that truck. Oh, look, debris on the nose of Eckes' truck. Looks like a garbage bag, doesn't it, Vince?
Wow. And it's got to be distracting for sure, and it's caught on the hood hook on the one of the hood pins.
Whatever type of garbage bag that is, if it is a garbage bag, we need to go buy one of those because that is a durable one.
Not sure that that's going to negatively affect the truck per se, but certainly is distracting to the driver, I would imagine.
Let's check out his aerodynamics. It's like the
there
wind
it goes.
blowing smoke over a truck. It got away from it though, so that's a good deal there for. Oh, but it must have distracted him because he didn't get down in the corner like he had been, and Red almost ran him over.
Watch the, I guess that's a plastic bag, and it finally let go, and then Brennan Poole about ran over the back of Eckes. Eventful for sure. The 45, you see Majeski back on track, but everybody's chasing Zane Smith, the 21-year-old from Huntington Beach, California. Leads early at Kansas. One, the MLS is back tournament. It moves on to the round of 16 as Toronto takes on New York City. See it beginning at 8:30 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. And if you haven't downloaded that new Fox Sports app, strongly encourage you to do so. It is hot.
It is hot.
It is hot.
And you know what I love about it, Vince? It's easy. You can navigate through that baby and find out anything you want in the sporting world. Right now in our race, that's Ty Majeski. We saw him run into Tyler Ankrum and damage that left front. The team did a nice job, Regan, getting that thing squared away, and he's been able to hang in front of our leader, and this is key. He needs to stay on the lead line or stay 2 down so he has any chance at all of getting back in this race through the free pass or our stage breaks.
Yeah, and that's, as you said, that's his only opportunity now. It's going to be difficult to drive up there and get those laps back the old-fashioned way, especially the way that the rules are. And as we see, it's going to be difficult right here for him to stay in front of Zane Smith, who has a very fast truck right now.
And we saw that trash bag on the front of the 18 truck of Christian Eckes. The bag has flown off, but Eckes has slowed down. He has lost a position. In fact, had fallen back behind Crafton at one point, back to 5th. So we'll see if Eckes can now get past Brennan Poole for 3rd. And watch this 19 on the right-hand side of the screen in this replay while we're in commercial break.
That's how every truck feels right now, Vince. These guys are all slipping and sliding. That's a really good visual of what these trucks are all feeling like to these drivers.
And that's on decent tires. Just give it about 20 more laps and it'll be even worse for him.
Yeah, we heard drivers screaming about how loose they were last night, and the crew chiefs we talked to said, got to tighten that thing up today.
How fun is it seeing the pace of Matt Crafton? You can see diving hard into turn 3 and making it work on the bottom. He drives around Brennan Poole in that 30 truck up beside Eckes. That's been the theme for Crafton the last 3 weeks. Top 5 finishes. Hasn't finished in the top 5 3 weeks in a row for years, and he's getting it done again today.
Yeah, he was 3rd at Kentucky, backed it up with a 3rd place run at Texas, and then finished 4th here last night. A 2-time winner at Kansas Speedway, most recently in 2015. And right now he's got his eyes set on the 18 of Eckes, trying to grab that 3rd place position.
He's got a better handling truck. You can just tell, Vince, he can make moves that others aren't. You see Eckes dancing around there. Crafton will make the move to the bottom of the racetrack, or will he? Man, that's aggressive.
Eckes trying to block him and hold Crafton back there. Luckily, that was not an accident. That could have been a caution very easily.
Well, and Matt Crafton, the veteran that he is, you heard him lift just a little bit when that happened. And as you said, Vince, that easily could have been a wreck. So a nice move by him, easing off this early in the race.
Last night's winner, Austin Hill, started 15th. He's in the 14th spot. How's it rolling, Alan?
Well, struggling so far. Listen to what he said on the radio.
Okay, step 4. Do what you did yesterday. Try to get some heat in the right front.
And that's what we're hearing we're hearing that up and down pit road on the radio. Way too loose, especially compared to yesterday. Crew chiefs encouraging their drivers to just try different grooves out there right now and get to the stage break.
I love the calming words of Scott Zipadelli, the crew chief. He said, all right, I hear you. We'll get her.
I was thinking the exact same thing. When your crew chief has got that much confidence in his comm, that helps you out in the truck because you're out there fighting right there. You don't like what you're feeling. You won the night before. You've made virtually no progress today based on where you started. If you're Austin Hill, he needed that. He needed that from the crew chief, that calmness there. I am a little surprised, Michael, though, that these guys aren't tighter than what they were last night. I expected these trucks, because of the sun and the heat, to be tighter today, and it doesn't sound like that's the case yet.
And I guess there's good reason not to push the panic button for Austin Hill. He won stage 2, but he didn't get to the front last night till lap 41. And then the rest of the way, he had a dominant truck. So all's good with that team as far as Scott Zipadelli is concerned. Austin Hill is just trying to save his bacon out there.
And Zipadelli told me, as you see Travis Pastrana on pit road for the first time in that 40 truck. Remember taking over for Ross Chastain.
Right rear flat,
yep.
and possibly, yeah, that tire's down. So I don't see any damage either from the side of the truck. So Travis didn't get into the wall. Just must have run over something and cut that tire.
A nice job by Travis to pick that up and get that truck to pit road before having it become a bigger issue. He hasn't been in a truck in a while. That's a tough feeling to get used to immediately.
Yeah, made mention earlier, Pastrana hasn't had a truck series start since 2017. How about radio from Pastrana?
Almost feeling got a tire going down. It just walked up stupid.
Well, he diagnosed that right away, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm so happy he's here, man. He's a worldwide superstar, and he loves racing. He loves NASCAR, and he didn't crash when you cut a right rear, Regan. That's a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. And Travis, such a fun guy, such a fun personality to be around. I know I got to race in the Xfinity Series with him for a while, and he would just light up the room. He'd walk in, and he makes things a lot of fun.
And he had to get the driver's suit, another spare driver's suit from Stuart Friesen to wear in the race today. So the good thing Friesen brought an extra with him.
You think he went door to door looking for somebody his size to grab a uniform off?
He skipped the little guys, I'm guessing.
So you're saying Ty Majeski's suit was not the one he was
not
looking
an option.
for?
How about Allen on the 18 of Eckes?
Yeah, watch him in the corner there, Vince. He's staying up a lane near the wall. That is by design. His crew chief wants him to play defense. He's telling Christian Eckes that no one can pass on the bottom, so protect the top and keep that track position.
Well, and that's a key. That's a great point, but it also is a key to having a fast truck. If you are one of the few guys that can go to the bottom and complete those passes, you know you've got something special underneath of you. And the guy that I've seen do it most early on is Matt Crafton. He rides third right now.
Eckes finished second to the boss Kyle Busch at Texas, and there was so much anticipation coming here last night because KBM has had so much success at Kansas Speedway, but it was a big disappointment not only for Eckes but also his teammates Brandon Jones and Rafael Lessard, because as Regan mentioned in the open, they were just a dud last night. I mean, they did not have the kind of performance that you would expect from a KBM team at Kansas. Gilliland.
Chase Purdy, nice run down on the bottom.
Yep, started on the pole.
He's hanging right in there, Vince.
Brennan Poole doing a good job as well. Had a good run last night, and he is right there side by side with Purdy.
This is good for Chase Purdy to have an opportunity to feel that truck up front, know what it needs to feel like, and be able to correlate that if he's not always in the very front of the pack as to what he wants his truck to feel like.
Purdy, 20 years old, making his third start in that 24 truck, 15th last night.
Watch this, Vince. Purdy goes around Doza in that 28 and about sucked him sideways, or did suck him sideways, about sucked him around. That tells you how much the air moves these trucks around. That was just all air that about turned that 28 around.
Final 2 laps here in stage 1. So pit road closed per norm. Final 2 laps of each stage. Nobody catching that guy. Zane Smith out front by almost a second over Brett Moffett.
Just an update, Vince. Norm's running 34.
Thanks for the Norm update. There's a look at Moffett in that green and white 23. Mentioned about a second behind Smith. Final lap of stage 1.
I love the coverage last night. The in-car camera in Brett Moffett's truck showing him one-handing it around the racetrack. Amazing that a race car driver can do that.
Moffett was the stage 1 winner last night. He's not going to catch Zane Smith on this lap, however, and Zane Smith's going to win his second stage of the 2020 season. Remember, the top 10 of the championship contenders get stage points. There's the 4 of Lassard. He's going to grab a couple, and Derek Kraus gets that last stage point with the 10th place finish here in stage 1. Zane Smith, hoping for a first career win, off to a good start. Zane Smith grabs a playoff point in those 10 stage points for winning stage 1. See Brandon Jones and Brennan Poole not running for Gander Truck Championship points, so no points for those two, but everybody else 1 through 10 getting in on the stage point action. Look at that Zane Smith truck.
Stage winner. This is a win waiting to happen. It's going to take place in 2020, I can promise you that.
Out of the GMS stable with Bono Mannion, longtime Cup crew chief, on top of the box for the 21.
That bright green truck there, that's Robbie Lyons. He will get the free pass when these boys peel off. He's the first truck a lap down.
Zane Smith pitted all the way up at the turn 1 end of pit road in pit box 3.
We talked about last night how important it is getting in your box hot. Look at that. Nice job by Gillen, just really firing that thing into the pit box, stopping on a dime so his team can go to work.
And he had a truck 2 stalls behind he had to worry about.
Allen.
And that's Matt Crafton there on the top of your screen trying to follow up yesterday's 4th place finish. One of the few drivers saying he's a little too tight, so they're going to make a change for him. The middle of your screen, Brett Moffett, he described the left side of his truck as numb. It's a little much on the splitter, so he wants an air adjustment. And on the bottom of your screen, the leader, Zane Smith, says he can't get through turns 1 and 2 without getting too loose. Expect an adjustment and 4 tires for the 21.
Well, Ben Rhodes and Austin Hill, the first 2 off pit road, and you saw that Hill and Rhodes both took 2 tires. Junior Joyner keeping an eye on things for Matt Crafton. Hey, tonight, later on FS1, baseball's opening weekend continues. Manny Machado and the Padres taking on the Diamondbacks. Padres won 7-2 Friday night. See it tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. So glad to have baseball back. Boy, it is hot here today, and just as you'd expect, but look at the drivers. That's Matt Crafton just pouring the cold water on him.
And that feels good temporarily, but it doesn't last long, does it, Regan?
He better make sure he's got a hole in the bottom of that seat. I've made that mistake before, and there's nothing like boiling water below you.
Radio from Travis Pastrana.
Sorry, guys. So, yeah, coming in, feel pretty good. When it sets, it never really sets too well. It feels like it just kind of keeps going. When you're on the gas, definitely a lot of throttle. Oversteer gets worse as the run continues on.
It just feels like the rear end never gets set in the track.
You can definitely come in hotter, but I'm afraid to carry any more speed because
And everything you're hearing from Travis right now, or right there, tells me that race truck is very loose. Anything he's doing creates oversteer with the truck. And when he's talking about getting into the corner, can't get in as hot as he wants to, that means he's trying to back the corner up to keep that truck underneath him. We know he can drive sideways. He's going to have to continue doing that today, though.
And on the front row, we've got some strategy that has taken place. We have Austin Hill, Ben Rhodes, 2 tires. I love this call. They were mired back in traffic. Will 2 tires help them maintain that track position they've gained on pit road?
Friesen starting inside row 3 also took 2 tires on that stop. Tires didn't seem to make much of a difference last night. We'll see if that has changed any today.
How would you like to be Austin Hill? So loose he couldn't drive it. Crew Chief Scott Cipodelli, how about 2 tires, buddy? You'll be just fine.
Well, and I think this will tell us a lot about what the air does to these trucks. If he goes out there and is able to start driving away on those 2 tires, look for everybody else to try and do whatever they can to get that track position the rest of the race.
Now, with Austin Hill winning last night, you could look at it one of 2 ways. Hey, let's give you exactly what we gave you last night with a tweak or 2 and try to win again, or we can try something different and see if that might teach us a little something for later on down the road. And that's the route that Scott Cipodelli took. He told me before the race today that they wanted to try some different things and maybe learn a little something more about the truck since they got that win last night and locks them into the playoffs.
It's been a bit of a constant toward the front. It's been Zane Smith and Matt Crafton. Both those trucks look really good, able to operate on the bottom of the racetrack. You can see they're down on the apron trying to get away from Ben Rhodes up top. Clear him down the straight.
Rhodes and Crafton, the 99 and 88, are teammates at Thorsport. Smith's got 2nd, Rhodes has 3rd.
If you like Toyota, Chevy, or Ford, you got 3 to pick from right up in front of this race. Those guys look evenly matched today.
Just look at the racetrack there. As you get further up towards the top, you can almost see that cushion starting to form right now at the top of the track. The drivers like seeing that when it happens. It gives them a good visual as to know how far and how close to the wall they can get.
Mike, you mentioned a little bit earlier that it took Austin Hill to lap 41 to get the lead last night. Working a little earlier today, but those 2 tires have paid off for him, at least at this point.
Certainly impressive what he's been able to do. You see Ben Rhodes getting loose on the bottom. Impressive what he's been able to do since taking those 2 tires. But Zane Smith's faster. That's pretty obvious. He'll make work of Hill here pretty quickly.
That first stage went caution-free. In fact, there was only 1 caution for incident in the first 2 stages last night. As Zane Smith makes a move on Austin Hill for the lead, the 21 of Smith.
Oh, you see on the right side, Tanner Gray took his 15 truck and scrubbed that outside wall. Probably see him on pit road here shortly.
Gray ran double duty last night, ran the truck race and then backed it up with the ARCA race after the truck race and ran top 5 in the ARCA show.
What about Tyler Ankrum, guys? From the back up to the top 5, he's getting a battle there from Brett Moffett, but it's impressive what this young man has done here today.
And that's Sheldon Creed right behind Ankrum in the 2 truck.
He came from the back as well.
Yep, went to a backup truck.
We're just proving it is possible to pass if your truck is good enough, and it was unfortunate we didn't get to see Tyler Ankrum yesterday, and we got a caution on the track.
Well, just as I mentioned, the fact that we went caution-free in stage 1, we get a caution with Brian Doza in the 28 truck. From Alexandria, Louisiana, ran 37th last night. He was running 34th at the time of that spin.
Well, that truck's been a handful. We saw him nearly spin around when Derek Kraus passed him, and now he does go around.
Certainly didn't appear that the air was involved, though, on this particular spin. That was a little different.
Don't come to pit road.
Trucks are a handful whether you're in traffic or not. We saw it right there. Everybody chasing Zane Smith, our Stage 1 winner. The e.p.t. 200 from Kansas Speedway, Kansas City, Kansas. 13 miles west of Kansas City, Missouri. Just a hop, skip, and a jump. Here's a good look at the 26 of Tyler Ankrum. Let's check in with Alan.
Yeah, let's update you on some GMS teammates. The 26 of Tyler Ankrum. Remember, last night's race, he had some issues. He came here with a lot of speed, but a flat tire forced him to the garage because it ripped a brake line out. They ended up being laps down, but they were able to fix it, and they actually came out, and for much of that race, they came back and were running fast laps. They just didn't have the position to put in a good finish. Well, his crew chief was confident going into today. They had to start 33rd. Look, they're already up to the top 5. And let's talk about his teammate, Zane Smith, the leader. We know they've got a fast truck. We know he can go out there and lead laps. His biggest issue this year has been restarts. Amongst truck regulars, he's lost more spots on restarts than any other driver. The restart we just had, though, he restarted from 3rd, didn't lose any spots, went back up and took the lead. Let's see what he can do on this restart as the leader.
Is that just a product of experience, Regan, just not understanding exactly how to pace himself on that start?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a situation where you're learning the air of those trucks. You learn where you need to position yourself getting into the corner. And he's relatively young. He doesn't have a lot of starts in the truck series, so that's only going to continue to get better for him. Right now, he needs to log a little bit of data for later in this race right now, starting up front. Okay, what do I need to do? Do I want the top? Do I want the bottom? Right now, he's going to try the bottom.
And on the outside of row 2 for this restart is Ben Rhodes.
Help me, son. Man, I'm just battling so hard. You're in dirty air the whole time. It's hard to get you a good feel because there's never any clean air. This is a completely different racetrack than what we had a year ago or 2 years ago. Tires are just making it worse.
I was wondering if it was different than it was yesterday. Heck, I knew it was different than it was a couple years ago.
Did he forget they ran last night?
Oh, spin the tires there for Hill. You can see that truck sideways.
back green here in Kansas. Boy, Sheldon Creed way to the bottom, trying to make up some ground as Zane Smith.
Wow, what truck control from Ankrum.
Yeah,
they were
about that.
4 wide there and just about spun out.
Smith still has the lead, and Austin Hill going to challenge. Rhodes and Crafton right behind third and fourth, with Moffett rounding out the top 5.
I'm just telling you, Vince, when you can squirt ahead in the center of the corner on the bottom like we saw Zane Smith do there, that's a sign to me that he has something special under him. That's a really tough move to make down low on the track. He made it look easy.
Watch Zane's, or excuse me, Tyler Ankrum.
That's 4 wide, and there just isn't room.
A little contact there with Todd Gilliland.
A good save by Ankrum, but let's not throw Todd Gilliland out of that mix either. He didn't have a clue what was going on below him right there, and he was able to save his truck as well. Both those guys, really good control.
It's amazing there aren't more incidents on these restarts, because I mean they're 4 wide every time somewhere.
Well, in Kansas, very difficult because it allows you to get down to the apron after the start-finish line there, and it really creates these big, massive runs on the restarts, and we see some great racing right now.
We certainly do.
Christian Eckes leading that group. He's 8th. There's Ankrum, Gilliland, the 24 of Purdy, the 13, Johnny Sauter, the 4, Rafael Lassard. And up on the wall, that red and white truck is the 30 of Brennan Poole.
And he was right up in the top 5 early. That just tells you what kind of competition we have here in the truck series. All the way back through the top 20 are trucks that are capable of winning the race.
A lot of different options in where you put your truck on this racetrack.
And we see them taking advantage of every one of those options about every lap.
Eckes and Rhodes for 7th.
Ankrum running 10th. He's struggling with a loose truck, it looks like.
Regan, you talked about that KBM group pre-race. Eckes the highest running of the KBM teams in 7th. But everybody's chasing Zane Smith. He's led a career high 37 laps so far. Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series. Action from Kansas Speedway here on FS1, and the orange 21 of Zane Smith is the leader, and he's being challenged by the yellow 88 of Matt Crafton. I think this is as strong as I've seen Crafton. Even though Crafton's got 3 straight top 5s, we've not seen him challenging for the lead like he has shown today.
He was excited coming into this race. I spoke to him this morning, said he felt good about yesterday, the adjustments that they were going to make to this truck for today. I said, do you have anything to compare it to, Matt, from years past? He said, I don't even remember the last time we ran in the middle of the day at Kansas. Well, I looked it up. The last time we ran in the middle of the day was 2013. The winner of that race, Matt Crafton. You'd think you would have remembered that.
Well, in 7 of the top 10 here, we talked about this pre-race, how things might change from last night. Well, 7 of the top 10 right now were top 10 last night. So the cream rising to the top.
I like seeing a guy racing this truck with both hands on the wheel.
So you don't want to see Brett Moffett then.
If you watched the race last night, Moffett was driving left-handed. I think, and we talked to Jamie McMurray, and he said he drove with his left hand on his leg a lot of times during the race. He said, I didn't even know I was doing it. And when I watched an in-car camera, I saw myself doing it. Got to ask Brett if he realized how he attacks this racetrack with just his left hand.
I can assure you this, Michael, I don't need to see an in-car camera to know that I always had both hands firmly on the steering wheel, usually holding on for dear life.
Smart man. Austin Hill, guessing he had 2 hands on the wheel right here.
Well, remember, he took those 2 tires, and
yikes.
Isn't that crazy, Regan, how quickly those things will just jump out on you?
And they weren't even that close together at that moment. Alan, what do you got?
Yeah, just a yo-yo of a day for the 16 Austin Hill, yesterday's winner. He started off way too loose. Then he actually told the team that the adjustment they made, it worked. It was good. It wasn't as loose, but you could see that loose condition coming back. They took those 2 tires at the end of the last stage. We can kind of see the effects of that. He's dropping back just a little more and more, but that was the strategy call for the last stage.
Yeah, this is the final lap here in stage 2, and remember, as noted, Austin Hill did take those 2 tires, and Zane Smith wins stage 2. First stage sweep ever for Zane Smith.
It's also the most laps he's ever led in a race,
Yep.
Vince. He's got it going on today.
Looks like the guy to beat. Can he finish the job? Looking for his first career win. Kansas Speedway's produced 6 of those. Zane Smith has won both stages so far today. Scored the most points with those 2 stage wins. The last time a driver swept the first 2 stages, got to go back to Pocono. Sheldon Creed did it. Didn't win the race, however. Brandon Jones won that day, so we'll see if Smith can complete the trifecta and win both stages and win the race as well. Kyle Busch did that earlier this season at Las Vegas.
Zane Smith looks in his rearview mirror. It's just a couple trucks back. He'll see Sheldon Creed. What a move from the back up inside the top 5 for that 2 truck. Great run early and through this second stage for Creed.
Yeah, they broke a spoiler bar with some contact with Derek Kraus in the race last night. Had to go to the backup truck for today and start at the rear. And as you said, Mike has been impressive so far today in that 2 truck as you see Creed pull off for service.
Slid to a stop there. His team jumped over the wall. Had to hit an extra lug nut on that right front. That can just make a couple of 3 spots difference, Vince, when you have an issue like that.
The 88 of Matt Crafton on the top of your screen. Again, one of those few trucks that's too tight. As crew chief says, that's by design. They think the track will come to them. In the middle of your screen, Brett Moffett says he's just way too loose. He spent that run trying every groove he could, but couldn't fix it. Expect an adjustment for them. The 21 on the bottom of your screen, Zane Smith, it says it's still getting too loose in turns 1 and 2. The right side stepping out. A wedge and air pressure adjustment for Zane Smith.
Wow, Friesen skipping tires altogether.
Might have missed his pit. I mean, I don't know that that's a great call, but they've been struggling all day, so heck, maybe they figure they got to throw a curveball at him.
Well, we did see him on pit road in the middle of stage 2. Perhaps a strategy play there to try and get that track position for him.
He did take 4 tires on lap 44, but still, I don't know about that. Christian Eckes led the first 6 laps of the race, and during that stretch, he posted the Xfinity fastest lap of the race on lap 2. And he's not been in the front much since, but he has crept up around the top 5. He'll restart here in the 6th position.
Good work on pit road by that team, and You can see the struggle. I mean, Matt Crafton's dumping ice everywhere.
You have to wonder how hot it is right there. That answers that question.
And by the way, he was battling for the lead. Pulls a glove off here to get that ice situated a little bit better, I think, down in his driver's suit. So
temperature was about 90 degrees, felt like 100 at the start. And even though this is a relatively short race, certainly compared to what you might see on a cup race, it's still hot. And we had several drivers go to the infield care center after the race last night.
And I think that's wise to go to the infield care center, maybe get an IV. We saw Natalie Decker at the top of the show, how she struggled after the race. She was one of 5, like you said, that went to the infield care center. But these athletes, they recover, and she's done a nice job inside the top 20 on the lead lap, doing a good job. And think about this, Regan. Earlier, Travis Pastrana said a top 25 would be a good finish for me. That's one of the world-class drivers anywhere in the world. And here she is running inside the top 20. I think that's a great start, a great run for this girl so far.
We'll recap all the action from Kansas Speedway this week on Race Hub.
NASCAR Race Hub is geared up and running on all cylinders. Monday, the Race Hub team's back to break down all the high-speed action from Kansas, and we'll go one-on-one with this weekend's winning drivers. And tune in as the Hub will get you set for next weekend's Cup Series race at New Hampshire. The Race Hub team will make their predictions on which driver will make it to victory lane and take home one giant lobster. NASCAR Race Hub, weeknight 6 p.m. Eastern, only on FS1.
And when we look at the front row of this restart, you'll see the 88 of Matt Crafton. I'm down here with his crew chief. Crafton, one of the few trucks, has said he's tight all day. You were pumped up just now. What's going right for you guys?
Well, I think he's lying to me, but he tells me he can go better if he's tight. So we snugged him up overnight, and the Menards F-150 is really good right now, you know. We've been on a roll a little bit lately. Now it's just time to get into victory lane. You know, the 88 team's strong, and we always have been strong, and we just need to run where we belong and do the things that we do, be smart, do our job. So I think he's pretty hungry.
Hungry for that victory, guys.
Yeah, they don't get much better than Junior Joyner. He gets Matt Crafton's truck tuned up just about every time out. They don't always get what they think they're going to get, but it's not from a lack of effort. Final stage of this race, and Crafton is in front.
We're going to see about this Friesen experience, Vance. You said you didn't know about staying out on those older tires. He hasn't had any track position. Pretty good speed, though, up inside the top 10 before pitting earlier. We'll see if he can hang on.
Yeah, got into the back bumper there of Crafton, and a big wiggle from the 88 as Brett Moffett has surged ahead to the front. Crafton challenging from the outside, and here comes Zane Smith, who's led 50 laps. Wow.
4 wide.
Great move by Zane Smith to get to the outside on the corner exit right there. You got to trust the drivers on the inside a lot. Look, they're still beating and banging on each other.
Was that end finger hanging onto that truck?
Yeah, he got into
sideways.
Stuart Friesen, and that's part of the problem staying out on older tires. You get run over.
And once you break that momentum, the whole field is coming. You look at this hornet's nest behind him that's coming after him now. These guys all have momentum on him and want to get by him. This is not going to work out very good right now for Stuart Friesen.
Look at that, the 3 wide on the apron. That's something you don't say every day.
For good reason. Early laps here in the final stage. Remember, this last stage is 74 laps. Have a pit stop. Everybody will have to stop at some point, usually within the final 50 to 55 laps for fuel to get to the end.
What about Sheldon Creed? Started in the back, has driven to the 2nd position. What a great run for this young man.
And Jeff Stankiewicz telling me this morning that with his backup truck, it's a brand new truck. He said all the trucks we build at GMS are good ones, and he was very confident that even though they were moving to the backup, he was going to have a piece to work with, and he has given driver Sheldon Creed just that.
That's a fast run down into turn 3, really gaining on our leader, Brett Moffett.
GMS running 1-2.
And 4-5.
Just a great day for GMS when you look at that. 4 trucks in the top 5. You have to be happy about that. It shows the speed that they've got right now.
Creed to the bottom for the lead on Moffett.
Well, he didn't make that look easy. We haven't seen a pass that quickly, that clean on the lead all day.
Moffett says, I can do it. Watch. Maybe.
Saw this out of Brett Moffett last night as well, battling back and forth. It was for the second position last night, but you can get going with these trucks to where one guy goes to the inside one time, the next to the outside the following lap, and you really can do a lot of side drafting and have a lot of fun.
And for third, oh, there's Pastrana around, bringing out the caution.
No damage. You can continue. You can hear him gunning it there.
Now this is a little more what Pastrana's used to as he drives through the grass there. That's the kind of vehicle, you know, he gets in those rallycross cars.
I am really, really sorry, guys. Really, really sorry.
That's his teammate, Natalie Decker.
Just going to get loose down on the bottom, I'm afraid. Yeah, wiggles there, and around he goes.
Wow, Spencer Davis nearly caught the spinning Pastrana. Square. Narrow miss for Davis. That's Davis right behind Pastrana.
Vince, when you hear that engine rev up, Regan, you'll attest, right? That's scary.
Not a good feeling as a driver, because you know the next thing coming is the traction braking.
Vince, can you imagine running 160 miles an hour and all of a sudden your engine goes revving up, spinning those tires that fast? Wow.
I think Pastrana's got damage that's going to prohibit him from continuing on, even though he went through the grass, and a lot of times going through the grass like that can destroy the truck.
Yeah, he just needs to do what he's doing and take it easy. You hear the tires, the rubber flopping off the fenders.
Yeah, that was exactly what I didn't want to do, guys. I'm really sorry. I should have just let her go and got a better run, but she was just taking all the air off the side. I know it's my teammate too, so I apologize. Should have been more giving.
It's always hard when you come in and you know, run a one-off race, how you race the other competitors. You got to be respectful that they're out here week in and week out. And Travis was just saying that he had his air robbed, but Natalie wasn't really crowding Travis in. You know, we've seen guys almost spin out or even spin out by themselves. It's just a hard job to get out there and run at this level.
And the trucks are already loose, and you got to know that it's going to happen when you get to the exit of the corner. It's just going to get considerably worse. And look at these guys racing 4 wide right here. This was some really good stuff. Zane Smith making a great move to get to the outside there, complete that pass. We need to remember that later if he's up there battling for the win.
And then watch Grant Enfinger next to Stuart Friesen. Tim Duggar riding on the tailgate on the bed back there. Must have scared the heck out of him.
Sheldon Creed is out front. Brett Moffett, Tyler Anker, Matt Crafton, Zane Smith in the top 5. Welcome back to the e.p.t. 200. The Gander trucks at Kansas Speedway in the final stage. One more lap before we come back and get the green. Creed and Moffett will restart on the front row, and for more on them, here's Alan.
And some good debate on Sheldon Creed's radio in the 2 truck there about which lane he should choose as the leader. He likes running on the high side. The truck is faster, but the inside line they thought may be more advantageous. Ultimately, they decided he's been so fast these last few laps, it really doesn't matter where he restarts because he could just regain the lead. So we see him on the high side. As for his teammate Brett Moffett there in second on the inside, he had an interesting thing he said. Most drivers, they like the clean air, right? That's when their truck runs best. He says his truck gets tight in clean air, and behind another truck, it runs much better. So that's a problem they're going to have to fix if he wants to win this race.
Well, you sure don't hear that comment very often.
And usually the deeper you get in the field, the more difficult that becomes. But Brett's been up near the front all day long. Minor adjustment, air pressure, a little wedge, track bar. There's plenty of things the crew chief can do to address that. But when you're running as fast as Brett is, sometimes those are hard changes to make.
Boy, there have been some good trucks today, too.
Yeah, we got to remember, they're only going to get one more shot to adjust this, most likely in this race. So now's the time the drivers have to make sure the feedback they gave on this yellow is precise for that next caution or pit stop, whichever comes first.
Yeah, inside row 3 is Zane Smith. He's led 50 laps. Nobody else has even led double figures this afternoon. But Sheldon Creed leading us back to green with 57 to go. Trying to hang in there on the inside and nudges ahead.
Make note of that. Oh, we got a spinner.
We got one around. It's Derek Kraus. Corey Roper involved in that as well. Roper into the inside wall hard, and you see the damage to that 04 machine.
And that's just a bad break when you're back in the pack and a couple guys get sideways and you wind up with the biggest amount of damage out of the incident. You see left front's down on Kraus.
And we've seen some hard hits with that inside wall this weekend. That's the 3rd one now, so it's good to see Corey Roper drop the window net a second ago there like he did. And as Michael mentioned, put some tires on Kraus's truck and go try it again here in a second.
Yeah, Ryan Preece Thursday night in that cup race. That was a scary hit. So glad to see Ryan climb out right away, and Corey Roper gets part of that as well.
Watch this.
Right about in the same spot, I believe, as what Preece hit.
And I know there's safer barriers there, and we are so thankful for those safer barriers, but I can assure you it still hurts. It doesn't feel good when you hit that hard on the inside wall like that.
And it also hurts your pocketbook when you're a small team trying to get to the races week in and week out. That's one major accident. Russ Lane in the ARCA race, Vince, you mentioned Preece, but watch Russ here off turn 2. Watch this big contact.
Almost identical impact of what happened to Ryan Preece in the cup races a couple of nights before.
Well, we're, I would think, just outside the window, but you got to come now, Alan.
Yeah, late call for the 2 truck, basically doing the opposite of the 23. That's kind of the strategy for them on their part. The 88, they said it can only help us if we come to pit road now. 2 tire change on the right side, going around to the left, 4 tire stop for the 88.
I like this, Vince. You're going to get a couple of caution laps. We talked about, Regan said the pit window is between 50 and 55 laps. You add in a couple of caution laps. We haven't seen tires make a huge difference. So you get this over with. You know your plight. You're set on your tires. You're set on your strategy. And now you just hope you can outrun the field.
Now that window at 50 to 55, you're hoping that you got that right. Corey Roper out of the truck after that big hit. Good to see. Saw some of the front runners come to pit road. Some others stayed out, as we talked about, right there about the window of fuel mileage in lap 50 to 55. You know, the window, as Regan said beforehand, thought stretched between 50 and 55. We had 55 to go. You saw Moffett fake like he was coming and then stayed out, but Creed and others went ahead and came to pit road. What do you think, Mike? Like it or not?
Let's hear what Brett Moffett thinks. I think that's more important than what I think. I don't know. I think I wanted to pit.
I'd like to stay. If they split, let's come out here. If some of them come behind us, we're coming, so try to call, wait, stay out. So they're going to do opposite us, I guess. So, yep.
That well beat means I don't like what just happened, and that means when he stayed out, a lot of the trucks behind him decided to come to pit road. I just don't think we really have enough information yet to decide whether this was a good or bad decision. If the caution flag flies in the right time frame for Brett Moffett, could be an advantage, but right now, I would have liked to have pitted.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, is when does the caution flag fly as to if this works or not. If I'm Brett Moffett, I want to see more of if or when. I want to see more trucks stay out with me if I'm Brett Moffett that are on the same sequence as me. The guys that I've been racing around all day long, you saw a number of those guys come to pit road right there. So that could be the challenging part for him. If the caution comes out late, it's tough to pass that many trucks.
Brandon Jones back in 14th is the first of those who just came and got 4 tires. Back green with this restart here at Kansas Speedway, and Brett Moffett, who elected to stay out, challenged by Austin Hill for the top spot.
We got a spinner.
Oh, and it's Clay Greenfield and Johnny Sauter. Friesen is involved. Majeski, maybe even Natalie Decker there got tangled up in it. A big hit from Sauter, and there's Jinjo Cobb with the 44 of Decker.
There's
some of those trucks that just came to pit road.
That's what happens a lot of times, Regan, when you have differing strategies, differing tires, doesn't work well.
Yeah, and I think that's right now Brett Moffett's crew chief is on the radio saying we stayed out of that mess right there. This worked out good. I like our strategy the way it is. As we see the trucks coming to a stop, we're going to put the red flag out here for a second.
Can you believe that truck will go somewhere? Johnny Sauter is driving a truck that I didn't think could move anywhere. Look at that.
Going to put it into Sauter's day. Majeski, his day started poorly with contact very early in the race, creating left front damage. There's the 9 of Cody Robaugh. Boy, he's had a tough stretch over the course of the past month.
We've been praying for Joshua, the young man that was injured in a kayaking accident, and the truck's torn up again. There's Natalie. She looked like she was in good shape, though, sprightly, jumping out of that truck and heading toward the ambulance.
Unfortunate for all these trucks. You can't afford to tear too many trucks up, especially some of these smaller teams. We saw Johnny Sauter coming to pit road there, and I spoke to him earlier today. He said, man, we wholesaled this truck. We changed everything from the front to back of it. He didn't like where his truck was at last night. And said didn't think it could get any worse, but unfortunately for Johnny, it did just get worse.
The first truck I saw go spinning was a 68, the blue truck on top of your screen, and yes, he got turned by Tanner Gray. Tanner probably just trying to give him a draft push down into the first turn. And
Johnny Sauter's truck was like a pinball. On board with Pastrana.
Ooh, Travis does a nice job, gets all the way over to the bottom, runs out the other side. Look at that.
So many instances, there's just nowhere to go.
And that's a spot where you don't want to be pushing somebody, getting into the corner right there. They're starting to crank the steering wheel to it, so the back of the truck's already getting light, and then somebody gives you a little contact, and I don't care who you are, you're not going to be able to hold on to that. And we saw the result of it, the wreck right there.
So with debris all over the track, there is the red flag to clean up the track area, and here's radio from Tanner Gray. We thought might have gotten into the 68.
That was my bad. I guess I was on him when he went to turn to the bottom or something.
I mean, if you're square on him and he turns, and I mean, if you didn't left rear, right rear, man, it's called racing, dude. I mean, it sucks, but you didn't do it on purpose. It's one of them things.
Yeah, 10-4. Just tell him I'm sorry.
Racing deal if you're on the other end of it.
Yeah. It's amazing the difference in that perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, that was just turning a guy around, and whether you meant to do it or not, it's unfortunate for that team and all the others that got tore up in this mess.
So a multi-vehicle accident here at Kansas has brought us to a red flag, and activity stopped, and you see this is what caused it. Tanner Gray getting into the back of the 68 of Clay Greenfield. Johnny Sauter hit a half a dozen times by multiple trucks.
Goodness, some good moves there. If you look back in the pack when that wreck starts, you could see Christian Eckes get on the brakes and do a nice job of driving his way through it and surviving. And
I think the fluid out from under Johnny Sauter's truck tells us no matter what right here, his day is going to be done. That means that the radiator's knocked out of it, and that's not something you can fix on pit road.
Boy, and another blow to Sauter's playoff standings. He came into this race 26 points outside the playoff cut line, and that's going to be another blow to his chances with this finish here today. As you see, Johnny, former series champion, now 48 points outside the cut line.
look at Stuart Friesen, 73 back. Clay Greenfield turned around on this restart. Let's hear what they had to say over the radio.
He just turned me. Oh, I saw it. Just had running directly into the back of you until you spun out. Didn't let off until you spun out.
Yeah, that describes it pretty much, Regan. You agree?
I don't know that I could have said it much differently myself, and you hear the frustration in Clay's voice, and you know there should be. He's got what he thought was good track position, and you just hate to see that happen on a restart.
Just remember, there's not a lot of experience for Tanner Gray on these restarts or on these ovals. He's a drag racer, not a lot of experience.
More than a half dozen involved in this one. Some significant damage here at Kansas. There's a look at the damage on that 2 truck of Sheldon Creed That's not too bad considering the looks of others. 8 trucks involved in that accident. How about this one? Johnny Sauter.
That is used up, Vince. I don't think they're going to be able to buff that one out overnight.
I don't know if there's anything left they can make use of with that truck. Hey, in a couple of weeks in the Irish Hills, going to Michigan. Wind them up and let them go at that trackway. We will talk speed at Michigan International Speedway.
They'll run around that 2-mile oval and pretty much wide open, run 180 some miles an hour. A lot of fun to watch them race at Michigan.
Been having fun here over the course of the last 24 hours. Had a great show last night with 8 different leaders, and Austin Hill adding his name to the winners roster this season with a victory. And we've seen more of the same today. Lots of 3 and 4 wide racing, some good battles at the front.
And now one big crash. They piled them up right there. That'll change the complexion of our playoff bubble that's been all over the place over the last few weeks. And here comes the guys that didn't pit. They're going to lose their track position.
Brett Moffett leading them down pit road.
Better to lose a little bit of track position than a truck like we saw some of those guys near the front do.
Well, we got to remember a lot of those guys that didn't get involved in that wreck might have had damage that they got to worry about now as the race goes on.
There's Moffett to his box in that green truck. Austin Hill, there's the 23, slides to a stop, team jumps over. See how smoothly this goes for Austin Hill.
Yeah, some of these drivers that were thinking, oh, maybe we should have gone ahead and pitted that first time through, but some that did were back in the pack and they got caught up in all that damage. So Moffett was one of those thinking they should have maybe come when everybody else did, and it ended up working out to their advantage because they weren't in the mess. As you see, Robbie Lyons was waiting to get into a space. A lot of damage to that 97.
Yeah, I think that baseball bat will take care of a little bit of that, but certainly.
I'd say the Sawzall is probably going to have to take care of the rest of that one.
Thank you to our armed forces.
Just looking at that and getting ready to say the same. Always great to see that message.
Such a patriotic group, NASCAR teams and drivers, and really reminds you of what it's all about.
Thankful to those that are out there serving and protecting. Well, what do you think here, guys? With about 50 to go, it's going to be interesting as we get this restart, and we've seen 3, 4, 5 wide at times on these restarts. It's the time where you got the best opportunity to grab a spot or 2 or more.
Well, we've seen some wild restarts today already, and I didn't think compared to last night it could get any wilder. Well, it has. These guys are more confident and understand what the racetrack is doing and where it's going to position them. And you know, I look at a guy like Matt Crafton, who we're riding along with right there, as being in a pretty good spot. Doesn't appear that he got any damage from that wreck. We know that he had a fast race truck before that wreck happened. Now he's going to have the best track position of all the guys that had pitted on that early caution there, or on the previous caution, and he doesn't have that many more laps on his tires. Basically 2 corners up to speed on his tires compared to what the guys who just pitted now do.
Right before that restart, we talked about Sheldon Creed in this 2 truck having the fastest truck in town, and I'm worried about that damage in the back. I don't think the back will affect that truck adversely, but if that right rear corner is pushed over at all, that's what they depend on to lean against the air. It's called side force, and it just pins that truck to the ground when they go through the corner. If he's lost any right rear to that truck, it could hurt him big time.
That right rear is why we see so many guys get loose and spin out coming off of the corners, because they lose that. He might not have it at all if he's got the damage over there.
There you see.
Well, it's been a tough couple of days for this camp. Stuart Friesen came in 22 points outside the cut line, came in last night, and then these are some of the issues that they dealt with last night and then into today as well.
There's the right rear flat. You could see when he had that issue, it just continued to multiply.
That was last night, and then today, Friesen, part of this group that suffered significant damage. He came in last night 22 points outside the cut line, and he lost about 50 points over the course of these two races.
There you see on the hood of that 22 truck, Racing to Beat Hunger. He races dirt modifieds all up and down the East Coast, and every time he wins, it's $5 grand to local food banks. And if he could have done that here today, it would have been 10 grand. So the team's doing a lot to help fight hunger, but unfortunately tonight he's on the trailer.
And unfortunately for Stewart also, he's getting into that must-win territory now as you look at where he's going to be at the points following this race. And that team has not shown the speed that it takes to go out there and win right now. You see 77 points back. That gap is getting very difficult to make up, even if you have a bunch of good stages and a couple good races.
Yeah, I think it is must-win, and you could even probably say the same for Johnny Sauter.
And 6 races after today left in the regular season. Yeah, I agree with you.
The good news for Sauter, though, is he's had the speed this year, and it wouldn't surprise us if he gets one of those wins. I think right now, Stuart Friesen, we'd be surprised to see him win a race right now as we sit here.
Well, getting ready for this restart, that's Tanner Gray on the outside and Kevin Donahue on the inside. And, in the 33 is Ryan Huff. Kevin Donahue drove that truck last night, and Donahue's in the 00 today. So Ryan Huff in the 33 making his Truck Series debut. Ran in the ARCA race, finished 13th last night, so he's going to get a unique perspective right here with this restart.
He's going to jam up that bottom lane, as you can see right there, which could cause problems again.
Brandon Jones on the bottom. Gray still trying to hold steady up top. 3 wide was Sheldon Creed on the inside. Here comes Crafton. Matt Crafton challenging for second. And going to get it with a little help from Brandon Jones in the push.
Austin Hill fighting to the bottom of the track. He's starting to flex some muscle. The 2-tire stop earlier didn't work so much for this team. It looks like it's dialed in now, though.
Under 50 left. It's go time.
Sheldon Creed up in the lead. I think he's answering all our questions about if that truck was going to be okay after the damage. It appears that it's perfectly fine right now.
Matt Crafton in pursuit with Austin Hill running third. Watch Hill in that blue truck. Blue and white. Right to the middle.
Woo. That's aggressive. I love it. You can see Kraus in that orange truck. Wow. He was struggling, and Hill took advantage of it.
Was that 5 spots on one straightaway? 4 spots? Whatever it was a lot of spots.
It was a great move by Austin Hill. Hill has answered some questions over the course of the past season or so after winning 4 times last year. I think when he first got into that ride following Brett Moffett's championship season, there were many wondering whether there was going to be a significant drop-off with Austin Hill behind the wheel, and there has not been.
And you know what I've been most impressed with, Vince, about Austin Hill is the fact that it's happening on these low-grip racetracks like we see here at Kansas, Homestead last year, Atlanta so strong earlier this year. Those are drivers' racetracks, as we call them, and it's because it's more difficult. You got to lift off of the gas pedal more. You got to maybe manhandle your vehicle, save tires, do different things at tracks like this, and he has certainly stepped up to the plate.
I don't think it took long for him to get Scott Zipadelli's confidence. They believed in each other. He proved early on driving this 16 truck that if Scott put the setup under it like he's capable of, Austin could drive it to victory lane.
Well, and Zipadelli's been very pleased with what he's seen from Austin Hill from a dedication standpoint, not only in the way he attacks his racecraft and his preparation before each race, but also the way he has handled in his own fitness and his body to be better physically in the car. He's lost 30 pounds and has really fine-tuned himself, just as Zipadelli has fine-tuned that race truck at Ettore Racing.
Here's some of the guys that just were on pit road, and they are marred back in traffic.
And if Brett Moffett wasn't mad before, which we know he was not overly thrilled, he's furious right now in that truck because he's not moved forward very, very quickly, still stuck in 13th. And now he gets into it with his teammate Tyler Anker. Big contact on the straightaway there.
3 GMS trucks right there, the 26, the 21, and the 23.
There's the 4th.
And the 24 is right behind him.
That'll make Mari go.
Oh, and their teammates are colliding.
Wow, what a shame. I was just going to say, team owner Maury Gallagher's got to be a little bit nervous when you got 4 of them running in a glob, and unfortunately, a couple of them got together.
Boy, 2 trucks with speed in Moffett and Ankrum. They have shown good speed, both of them today. Moffitt's led 10 laps, and he is now destroyed as Ankrum sits with heavy damage as well.
Vince, didn't you think last night went pretty smooth? I mean, it's
different day.
Yeah, man, it's really picked up in intensity here.
You tell them they don't have to run the same truck tomorrow, and guys get a little bit more aggressive.
They go crazy. They were racing just outside the top 10 after pit stops.
And watch the 21 of Zane Smith right in the middle of things, gets into the 26, and that's all she wrote.
You see a little wiggle out of Zane Smith as he was exiting the corner right there, and it doesn't look like he got loose, or was in a position to get loose there, but obviously something happened for the truck to wiggle like that.
Well, Smith continues on without much damage other than a little wrinkle in the left front, but same can't be said for his teammates Ankrum and Moffett.
I think Smith did get loose, maybe corrected it and drove into the side of Ankrum. Moffett straight to the garage area. You mentioned it, Regan, after not pitting, getting stuck back in the traffic and crashing. If he was upset before, I'm sure he's really upset now. But like I said, I would rather pit it, but it could have worked out the other way just as easily.
Radio from Zane Smith's team.
Oh, was there anything different I could have done there or what?
I think so. He came up, and when y'all touched, it sucked all y'all up into the 23. You were trying to stay off of him.
Spotter Josh Williams is who he was talking to, and you can see the damage to the left front, and that's minimal, I think, Regan. That won't overly affect the performance of that truck.
Yeah, I'd be more concerned about my driver right now, just where he's at mentally after wrecking with 2 of your teammates like that. It wasn't even 15 laps ago we were talking about GMS having 4 trucks inside the top 5, and now we're in a position where they got 2 trucks that are out of the race and 1 with some damage.
Zane Smith and that 21 truck's been out front the most laps today. They've led 50, and right here is the incident. You'll see the 21 get up to the 26. The 26 and 23 will come eventually into the make it a 3 wide situation.
I think that just tells you the intense competition, Vince, that was going on back in this pack. These guys have fresher tires. They're trying to race their way through some trucks that just quite frankly aren't as fast as them, and it got them in a bind. Look at that, a big push by Brett on the back of the 26 of Ankrum.
And I almost wonder right here, I don't know that Zane Smith expected the 23 to be on his outside of Brett Moffett right there, and that maybe that's where he got just a little bit unsettled right there when he heard outside possibly. You know, tough to speculate what he heard in his ears, but certainly unexplainable why he got sideways right there.
And what only thing that possibly could have happened, Regan, was he was trying to get behind the 26 truck and give him a push down the front. If that's the case, he misjudged it. But you're right. Other than that, it's sort of inexplainable, and it's certainly you got to, you know, if you're the spotter, Josh Williams, you got to tell your driver he didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
He's got to hear that right now. Now, when the race is over, we'll deal with whatever the fallout is from it. But you got to keep that kid calm so he can go win the race. That's his job.
And I think what we just saw right there, you know, that went back an entire lap. That shows you how long it can take for a wreck to develop, because that almost started when he lost his momentum a lap ago.
So that conversation between Moffett and his crew chief Chad Norris. Johnny Sauter taking the long and lonely walk. Declined a chance to chat about it. For some, it's checkers. For others, it's wreckers. And we have seen a real slowdown in the momentum to this race with incidents here involving some of the faster trucks. That's Tyler Ankrum being drugged back to the garage area. We saw Brett Moffett and Johnny Sauter done for the day.
A lot of favorites, Vince, when the race started, are now on the record.
The start of the race with Chase Purdy out front after the invert, and he finished 15th last night. Didn't stay up front long, but Zane Smith took the lead from Christian Eckes and has been out front for the most laps. Travis Pastrana in for Ross Chastain in that 40 truck for Nice Motorsports today.
See a flat right rear tire there for Travis Pastrana. That started some of his issues. Zane Smith, very fast truck early in this race.
It's a hot one. Heat index up around 100. See Matt Crafton trying to find a little bit of relief. Crafton's had a good truck today, and he has been running up front. Currently sits second. Austin Hill led a few laps after winning last night.
I think we expected a little more out of Austin Hill than what we've seen tonight or today based on last night. That was a good opportunity for him to get up front there. Took the 2 tires and as you said, Vince was able to lead for just a little bit.
Yeah, and ultimately those 2 tires wasn't the call. They fell back into the pack a little bit. Zane Smith wasting no time going back to the front, and ultimately Smith would take care of business and win stage 2 as well.
And then it got a little crazy, Vince.
It's the restarts. It's always the restarts.
We should have known the first restart of the race, they were 3x3x3, and it's continued on since then.
Sheldon Creed has been very good today in that backup truck. Came from the rear of the field at the start of the race and is out front.
Travis Pastrana, a little bit of spin there, and I talked about crazy, the way they stack these things up. This is when things started to go downhill. Look at that, bouncing all over each other.
A lot of contact. It just takes a while to get these engines wound up. Momentum based, as you see Clay Greenfield spinning after getting hit from behind by the 15 of Tanner Gray.
Let's try it again, Vince.
What do you say? Creed inside and Crafton outside. And now Austin Hill jumping to the outside of Sheldon Creed.
Nice job by Hill to get up to the top.
Creed, a winner earlier this season at Kentucky, his first career win. Austin Hill, a winner here at Kansas Speedway last night. And Brandon Jones working the top in that 51, right behind the yellow 88 of Matt Crafton.
Austin Hill so good on the top side of the racetrack last night. Sheldon Creed's going to be very aggressive with the side draft here. He wants to get out in front of him so that he can control the race based on that.
Hill to the front. Jones going to work on Creed now for second, and Matt Crafton trying to get there first.
I like the way he could dive to the bottom. That's a good move for Crafton. Slides up in front of Brandon Jones, and will take that spot away.
Yeah, another really strong effort from that 88 camp. 3 straight top 5s and working on a 4th here today. The 18 of Eckes runs 7th. Todd Gilliland, Tanner Gray right there, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Back at the front, Creed taking another look at Austin Hill.
This 2 truck is going to be hard to beat the rest of the way. Just a lot of speed from Sheldon Creed, even despite that damage on the back of his truck.
How much of a draft are they getting here as well, Mike?
Tons. You can really pull up on a guy. That's why it looks like, you know, the high lane is such an advantage exiting, because you get the momentum, but then these trucks just punch such a big hole in the air. Gives an advantage to the guy running behind you.
And as these guys are battling on the top side of the racetrack, don't look, but Matt Crafton says, just keep giving me the bottom, and I'll catch up to you guys based on that.
Yeah, the top 3 separated by 2/10. Oh, and into the wall there was Creed.
Now that will damage that truck in a way that he can't overcome.
If the right side was okay, it's not now. I agree, Michael, and that one's going to be one that could cost him speed the rest of the race.
He just did the slide job, Vince. Watch this. He goes to the bottom, gets some speed through the middle of the corner, and is able to pull up in front of Hill, but watch. Runs out of space and hard into the outside wall.
And you see the 4 of Rafael Lassard on the left-hand side, and then full screen as the caution has come out after Lassard has had contact.
Left rear flat on that truck, it looks like.
A little bit of damage. Trying to get it back to pit road without tearing up the left rear. Lassard had a couple of top 10s in 5 starts in the Gander trucks last season, but yet to get a top 10 here in 2020.
That tire's down right there. What do you think, Regan? Is it a...
Yeah, and he did a nice job to get down to the bottom and to diagnose that really quickly. Unfortunately, when you have a flat left rear, even that amount of speed that he's carrying into the corner, it's not going to hold on, and it's going to spin.
Yeah, did avoid any contact with either a racer or the wall.
Be able to get back on the track and continue to learn. Just 19 years old, out of Canada. Had a 9th place finish last year at Iowa. This year's been a bit of a struggle for the young man, though, so any lap he can get to gain experience is something that is very valuable to any young racer.
You know, we talked about the struggles for Kyle Busch Motorsports earlier in the day even, and I would say for the majority of this race, they weren't where we expected them to be. And you look up right now, and Brandon Jones is starting to make a little noise in 4th place, as well as Christian Eckes, who's up to 6th right now.
Tanner Gray, Ben Rhodes, using this caution flag as an opportunity to come to pit road, maybe fix a little bit of damage on that 15 truck.
Yeah, no tires, no fresh tires to get. You see, just as you said, Mike, taking a chance to make a chassis adjustment.
You said no fresh tires.
I guess Tanner Gray does have a set of tires.
Tanner saved a set, it looks like.
Sheldon Creed, we saw him get into the wall a few moments ago. What kind of damage do they believe they've suffered, Alan?
Yeah, as we saw, they knocked the right side pretty good. The Goodyear on that tire rubbed off the right rear. You're going to see the replay of it here. But the good news is all the tires are still up. They're trying to pump up their driver, pump up Sheldon Creed, saying, look, we still have the best truck. You can still go out there and win it. But as you saw that little damage right there, we'll see how much that affects him, guys.
That's just damage exactly in the wrong part of that truck. Alan is the only problem there. If he's able to hang on and win this race, that's crazy good. That's very talented to be able to, you can see how the bed's all kiltered back there anyway, and the spoiler on the right rear, Regan, it's pushed back there.
I think the most concerning part is he did get to that spoiler, Michael. As we were watching that replay, you could see the mark, and you can see with our camera shot there's a little mark on it. That is troublesome. If these trucks are already loose, we know that everybody's been complaining loose today. So anything that you do to that corner of the race truck is going to make it more difficult, and it's been up a good bit right there. So
part of it even looks like it's missing down low. He doesn't have the length he needs either.
The unfortunate part is where the bumper is pushed in. That's actually not going to hurt him. If anything, that might gain a little downforce when that happens. But when you get to the right side, that's the problem area.
Next to Creed is the 51 of Brandon Jones.
His back end looks pretty nice.
Pocono winner earlier this season.
Spoke to Brandon this morning. Felt like they were going to be good today because they missed the splitter heights on this truck so bad yesterday. That was his concern and what they had to work on overnight. They weren't getting the splitter down to the racetrack and sealed off. Felt like maybe this new left side tire that they're running at Kansas for the first time was a big part of that. And they've made some gains as the race has gone on here today.
And 6th are the KBM trucks. As you look inside at Matt Crafton's workspace, another strong run.
We're going to try this again, Vince.
Austin Hill and Matt Crafton.
That's the give me a good push on this restart move right there.
And he's telling Sheldon Creed he needs that push. And Sheldon Creed he has two choices, Vince. He can either push him and help momentum for both of them into the corner, or he can drive down there underneath that white line and take them 3 wide. You saw which one Matt was voting for.
What do you think, Michael? What would you do right here?
I would push him. I think getting out front, getting clean air would be important for those 2 on the bottom.
I'd go 3 wide. Go for it. Why not?
Back green at Kansas. 27 to go.
There's the push.
Crafton and Hill side by side for the lead. 3 wide for second. Hill gets the top spot. Eckes going to the bottom to challenge his teammate for third.
He'll struggle not to spin out now.
Into the wall again, and the caution is out again.
Yeah.
Just as you said it, Mike, Creed got into the wall.
Well, you can't run at this, like Regan said, as loose as they are anyway, you can't expect that truck to even be remotely near what it's supposed to be with all that damage to that right rear, and it just put him into the wall.
And the 33 of Ryan Huff come to a stop again. See, it says Donahue on the back of the truck, but Donahue is into the 00.
There it is.
And that's just a continuation. He keeps losing downforce and side force off on the right side and the rear of that truck with the damage. And, you know, you get further back in the pack also. He's got more trucks in front of him right there than he's had in a while. That takes even more air off of the truck, which makes these trucks even more of a handful. And you see the end result. That one's going to not end his day, I don't know, but it certainly is going to end his opportunity to have a top 10 finish.
Yes, it is. And without that spoiler on the back,
it might actually end his day.
Yeah.
On top of that.
Well, so Creed on pit road to see what they can do with that 2 truck. And we saw the 33 come to a stop as well. I just want to clean up. Kevin Donahue is in the 33. He was originally slated to drive the 00, but he and Ryan Huff have swapped, and Huff is in the 00, and Donahue has stayed in the 33.
musical chairs.
And we had a few drivers that there were a few driver changes. Of course, most notable Travis Pastrana in the 40 for Ross Chastain. Tyler Hill in the 56, subbing for his brother Timmy Hill. Let's go back downstairs, check in with Alan.
And I'm down here at Infield Care Center where Tyler Ankrum has exited, and he says he's doing all right. Bring us through what happened out there. It started hard racing with your teammate after a good day, but what happened on the racetrack?
There, I mean, my nose just started taking off, and I don't know what happened. I was fine. I never really had the nose take off. It's a really weird place, but I had wheel into it, and I don't know. Pretty embarrassing. Demoralizing weekend, honestly. If you looked up demoralizing in the dictionary, my name would probably be in it. But we've had fast truck all weekend. Our team needs to catch a break. So we're going to go to the next race with our heads high, and we're going to try and win there.
Tough spot, guys. A lot of speed. No results to show for it.
I got to tell you guys, from the angle we saw, I mean, I don't see the nose taking off. I see the 21 getting into the side of him. It just looked like the 21 turned left. So let's look at it again. I mean, I could be wrong, but watch the 26, and if he changes lanes, he's down low. Like, maybe it's a combination of things. He came up a bit, the 21 came down, but I wouldn't. If I was Tyler Ankrum, I'd say if I was at least only half at fault, because there was room for him to move up a bit.
And I'm perfectly fine when I'm admitting when I'm wrong, and evidently based on him, I'm not going to argue with what he said right there if his nose took off in the truck, but I certainly felt the same way as you did, Michael. I thought that there was plenty of blame to be placed on that one, and I guess Tyler Ankrum thinks that possibly it was his fault. Don't know that we saw it that way, though.
Well, plenty of opportunity to beat yourself up. I don't know that that was an instance where you should.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Vince. That's
and plus, you know, trucks are going to move around. We've seen that all day long. So I don't know. I didn't see it that way.
Trying to salvage something there in the pit lane on that 2 truck you saw of Sheldon Creed.
Yeah, you know, Vince, you can't drive one of these trucks without the spoiler on it. They'll just crash. So they'll need to certainly get that fixed up.
That worked out okay for you one time, didn't it?
What is it that our good friend Larry McReynolds says? Cautions breed cautions. And we are seeing that today,
Wow.
certainly at the end of this race. It's
lot of
gotten
breeding
wild,
going on.
and didn't see this happening today, not to this level.
Well, they're lined up, and we'll give it another shot. Yeah, the restarts sure are exciting, but they also create a lot of potential for contact and damage.
Our next race is going to be in Michigan if we have any trucks left, Vince. So we've got a couple of weeks off, and you can see we're not only going to go to Michigan, then the Daytona road course. How excited are you about that?
First time with no practice. Like it. Whew. That's going to be fun. Dover, going to Worldwide Technologies at Gateway. Love going there.
I ran the 24 Hours of Le Mans a couple of years, or excuse me, 24 Hours of Daytona a couple of years, and when you come down the front straightaway through the tri-oval, everything's looking perfectly good, and they make you go dead left into the infield. I'm like, no, I want to go on that banked part down there.
You might need to sign up for this race, Michael. You'll have more experience than about anybody in the field on that racetrack at that point.
I like the thinking there. Give me a ride.
Well, we're going to come to the green with 22 to go, and you've got Matt Crafton and Austin Hill on the front row. A couple of KBM trucks right behind him, and Brandon Jones and Christian Eckes. Hill in the blue and white 16, winner last night. Matt Crafton trying to get his first win in 3 years.
What a push. Eckes really shoved Crafton out in front of the field.
Look at that gaggle right behind Crafton.
That means they're going to be getting a good push too. That draft you asked about, Vince, you can see it right there. That's why Eckes was able to pull to the bottom like that.
Eckes going to that white line and challenging Crafton for the lead. Matt's going to hold on to it. Crafton might not be done. Hill and Derek Kraus about the 98 of Infinger with his teammate Ben Rhodes right on his bumper.
Wasn't Kraus backwards on the back straightaway a few laps ago? Been able to recover from that.
Crafton, a fast truck all day long. Right now he wants this to go green. He wants to stretch this lead just a little bit, if at all possible.
67 races since Crafton last went to victory lane. That was at Eldora in July of 2017. And our Gander Army 20 to go. Crafton out front.
You know, at this point last night, this is when Austin Hill was able just to creep away from the field. He just had a better long run truck, and he was able just to drive away by a couple of seconds and get to victory lane. Can he do that again today? You see him, he's lurking back there in third spot all over Christian Eckes. If his truck is anything like it was last night, keep your eye on 16.
You know, and the only other time that we saw Austin Hill towards the front of the field today, he was on 2 tires. Everybody else was on 4 fresh tires. That could be the difference right here for him, is now he's on equal tires with these guys, so we'll really get to see what he's got.
And he looks like he's better than Eckes right now. He's able to run that lower line and gain on him in the turn.
Top 3 separated by less than a half a second. We're going to take a break, but you won't miss a thing. Going to keep it right here. Action side by side. We're going to keep on trucking from Kansas. The Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series. Kansas Speedway, the e.p.t. 200. In the final 14 laps, a battle for the lead between Matt Crafton and Christian Eckes.
Vince, last time by, Matt Crafton had a big bobble, and he was the slowest truck in our top 5. So he's not handling perfectly, but he's able to hang on so far. Watch him work that wheel.
Love that shot right there. It just shows you what the drivers go through as they are in the middle of the corner. His hands actually look really good through the corner down in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, you see just a little bit more steering wheel input back and forth on that wheel. He's basically guiding the right rear of that truck around the corner as he runs up by the wall right there.
Remember, we talked to his crew chief, Junior Joyner, earlier, and Junior said that Matt wanted to be tightened up just a bit. It looked like it was driving pretty tight there. We've seen much more hand movement out of most of the drivers out here on this track.
Brett Moffett last night was turning right as much as he was left, so I would say Crafton was definitely tighter than that truck was.
Another good showing by the 99 of Ben Rhodes, and for the 19 of Derek Kraus, for that matter. Rhodes working on his 5th straight top 10, and Kraus had an impressive run last night, finishing 5th.
That was his 2nd top 5 of his young career. Now he's going for his 3rd today.
Good battle for position here between these two inside the top 5.
As we get closer to the end, this battle's only going to get better because we know Ben Rhodes is a very aggressive driver. He doesn't give anything up on the racetrack, and Derek Kraus, young guy, he wants that spot. He wants to better that 5th place run by 1.
Ben Rhodes was so close to winning this race a couple of years ago and had an engine failure late in the going, so he could taste victory here in Kansas. Right now he's running in the 4th position.
And how about Tanner Gray, Mike, taking that spot from Derek Kraus? I mean, it's been an eventful day for Gray, and all of a sudden he finds himself 5th.
Well, we wondered about 4 fresh tires at the end of this race. If anybody had them left, we saw Tanner Gray towards the end just a few minutes ago there put those 4 tires on, and clearly that is working for him.
10 laps remaining.
And you can see up ahead, I talked about last night, Austin Hill was able to drive away. Matt Crafton isn't doing that. He's got Eckes right on his bumper. Infingers in touch too. There's Eckes.
That lead has grown to just about 0.6 of a second, however, and so Crafton is stretching it slowly but surely over Eckes. Not comfortable for sure, but a few laps ago it was at 0.3.
That truck looks 10 times bigger than Matt Crafton's rearview mirror than he wants it to. You know how objects appear further away in the rearview mirror? Well, he wished that was the case. Here comes Eckes. That 0.6 you talked about is gone.
It is indeed, and boy, what a big win it would be for either one of these drivers. Matt Crafton hasn't won in more than 3 years. Got to go back to Eldora, July of 2017, the last time he went to Victory Lane. Even though he won the championship last year, it's been a long time since he's won races, and at this point in his career, it's all about winning. And for that 18 of Christian Eckes, so much has been expected of him, but Eckes has yet to go to Victory Lane in his young career, driving for crew chief Rudy Fugle and Kyle Busch Motorsports.
You know, when we talk about tightening a truck up, Regan, the more laps you run, if they over-tightened it at all, it'll just get worse and worse as those tires heat up, and Matt will have a handling problem as we go toward the checker.
Yeah, and tight basically means the front tires don't want to turn. They don't want to work whenever your truck is having that problem, and that's going to force him to keep going closer and closer to the wall. He really needs to be right on the wall if he's battling a tight position, because that'll actually help him just a little bit up there.
How about the mental approach of being the leader versus the chaser?
Well, what about the mental approach of being the champion, the veteran versus the kid behind you looking for his first win? I mean, that's a great story. One of the most experienced racers in the history of the Truck Series, battling a kid who's looking for his first win. This is a great,
an inch-by-inch process, little by little. We'll get there.
This is a great scenario as we close in on the checkered flag.
And great advice from Tony Hirschman on top of the roof spotting for Christian Eckes, trying to coach him up, tell him exactly what he needs to do. He feels like he's a little better right now. make every move just right as we see Crafton get just a little bit tight off the corner. As Michael said, that truck is definitely tightening up on him.
44-year-old Matt Crafton.
Yeah, if you commit too early into one, he's going to know where you're going. Keep it on the wall, see where he goes, and then do opposite.
Eckes just 19 years old. Crafton a 3-time series champion. Eckes looking for his first career win. 5 laps remaining.
Post-race last week, we heard how frustrated Christian Eckes was that he didn't get that win and wanted another shot. I think just running second today is a great thing, and he's going to make the move. It looks like getting into the corner.
Maybe a little fake there. Acted like he was going to the bottom, rode up to the top. Crafton goes up to block, and now Eckes to the bottom. This is a great battle.
Matt Crafton trying to hold off Christian Eckes here at Kansas Speedway. Final laps of the race. And the rookie Eckes is on the prowl.
Can't quite get to that quarter panel. If he gets there once, it's going to be a heck of a battle because he'll be able to side draft him at that point.
Is he there?
Crafton just barely being able to hold off Eckes from getting to that point that Eckes needs to reach to impact the handling of that 88.
Vince, you ask, would I rather be the hunter or the hunted? I'd rather be the hunted. I want that lead. You got to take it away from me.
You can make the racetrack very wide if you're out front, and I think Matt knows how to do that with his experience.
Final couple of laps. You know, normally we race here at Kansas at night like we did last night. The last time we raced in the daytime at Kansas, it was Matt Crafton winning back in 2013, beating Joey Coulter, who was in the 18 truck. And then here we are, 7 years later, and it's the 88 of Crafton in the 18 truck again.
Eckes was 12, Vince, so he was probably at home watching.
1 lap left. Matt Crafton, the 3-time series champion, trying to hold off the kid Christian Eckes, who 2 weeks ago finished runner-up to Kyle Busch. Eckes trying to get that first career win. Is it going to be today, or is Crafton going to be able to hold him off? Eckes making one more attempt, diving to the bottom. Not going to get there, and Crafton is going to end the drought. Matt Crafton, for the first time in more than 3 years, is a winner.
Oh yeah, buddy. Proud of you, man. Proud of all you guys. Hell of a job.
Even though he won the championship last year, Matt Crafton, I can assure you, has heard all of those, ourselves included, talking about how he hasn't won in so long. And yeah, you love the championship, but never met a racer that didn't just care about winning races. And Crafton has finally gotten back to the top spot.
I'm so happy for Matt Crafton. They worked so hard, and Junior Joyner, Regan, talk about this. Matt said, I got to be tighter. I don't think Junior Joyner wanted to make Matt. I don't think he wanted to make Matt tighter, but Matt, he trusted his driver, and that combination, championship last year, now they're in victory lane this year.
And he's glad this race wasn't 1 lap longer, because Christian Eckes was there and trying to get to that quarter panel right down to the last lap. He saw the emotion in Crafton as he's pumping his fist after he wins that race. I agree with Vince. This means the world to him right now, just to be able to do these burnouts again and know that there's going to be a trophy waiting for him here in a second.
I'm sure everybody on that team will have a nice cold Shasta.
You know, I thought when we heard that that audio from the crew chief, Junior Joyner, maybe a little emotion in the voice of Joyner as well. There is not many more passionate about this sport than Junior Joyner. He and Matt Crafton have worked together a long time, and they're the best of friends, and their combination of crew chief and driver has been incredibly productive. Special day today.
Matt Crafton climbing out. Look at the smile on his face right now. Let you savor this one. Oh, he's going up. He's going to go get that checkered flag. He's had to wait a long time for this since he got his last one, guys. More than 3 years before getting the checkered flag that's in his hands right now. Thumbs up for everybody. Let's talk to him. Matt, you've done a lot of winning in your career, but how big, how different is this one?
Oh, it was very, very sweet. It's not a lot of give up in these guys, without a doubt. This Menards Ford F-150 was good, really good all day. It was good on that last run as well. The 18 had a little bit of speed. He was making me nervous right there, and I kept trying to take the line away from him, make him tight and loose. And at the end of the day, I can't thank these guys for working so hard each and every week on this thing.
What goes through your head in that final battle? Because you know he's coming, the 18's coming. You know there's so much history. You want that win. What's going through your head?
It's just, I mean, hit your marks. Just don't make a mistake. And we started getting tight across the center. And that's where he'd get in on me, enter the center. But I just wanted to drive it in there deeper. I drove it in too deep a couple times, slid the nose. When I'd slide the nose, he'd make up ground. I'm like, okay, you just got to slow down into the corner so you can beat him off the corner. But all in all, thank every one of these guys.
Did you need me to remind you, did you know it'd been 3 years since you won?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No more. The defending champion will now officially compete for the title again.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, the big smile on the face of Matt Crafton. He might be 44, but winning never gets old, does it?
I don't care what age you are. That's a fun moment.
Matt Crafton taking it to victory lane one more time.